Hello everyone, good afternoon, good evening, welcome back Conclave 2024 4.0. This is our fourth series. The session is about to take off. Relax, enjoy the session. You are in a good hands and drop your questions in the chat box and our migration agent will answer the questions. Okay, let's get started. Mr. Parth Patel, please take over the session.
Sure. Thank you, Priyanka, for the quick introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Parth, as she has introduced myself. I'm a registered migration agent at Aussizz Group Hawthorne. Been with Aussizz Group since 2014, and it's pleasure working with Aussizz Group as well. I'll quickly start from the chat box. So I got a message from Sylvia asking, "Hi, can we ask now?" Yes, you are feel free to ask questions. I got a question from Kaplan. He's asking, "I am living in Victoria. Will complete my hospitality masters in September and already got a job as a restaurant manager. I'll start that in mid-September after my course. They are willing to sponsor me as well. Should I take on 482 leading to 186 after 1 year of experience or pursue graduate diploma in childcare during my 485 visa, which is the secure pathway?" Okay. So basically the thing is, if you work with the same employer or any other employer, basically you need 1 year of experience for 482 visa. From this year, November, the government is saying sponsored visa. You will need 1 year of experience to qualify for the 482 visa. And then you have to work with the same business for 2 more years. Then you can qualify for 186 visa. For now, for 482 visa, the requirement is you must have minimum of 2 years of experience. Basically, as you have mentioned that you are still studying and finishing your degree in September, and then you're going to start your job. So basically, you can qualify for permanent residency after 3 years from September. 1 year you have to complete from this year, September to next year. Then you look at 482 visa. Then you work with the employer for 2 more years, and then you can get it. So basically, it's going to take 3 years of time. That is one way you can get your permanent residency. The second option is you complete 1 year of experience. Next year, September, you get your skills assessment and then look for 190 state sponsored visa. That is a straight away permanent residency. So that option you can try side by side. If you get invitation to apply for 190 visa state sponsorship as such, then that can give you permanent residency probably 2 years before you are going to qualify through employer sponsored visa. So that could be a better option as well. Coming to teaching pathway, you are saying you'd like to study this graduate diploma in early childhood. So if you'd like to study that, in order to get a skills assessment for permanent residency, you will have to complete this course, which is 1 year. Plus, you will have to score in 𝐼𝐧𝐿 academic 7 bands in reading and writing and 8 bands in listening and speaking. Once you get that, then you can apply for a skill assessment, and then you can look at either 189 or 190 visa as such. Wherever you get invited, you can get permanent residency. If you cannot get that English score, if you have studied for 4 years in specific countries, for example, Australia, at a level of a bachelor's or higher level qualification, you may be exempted to meet the English criteria. So basically, in that case, if you can score that, then it's good. If you cannot score that, you have done master's degree over here. You haven't mentioned where you have done bachelor's, but then if you haven't done bachelor's from Australia or from specific countries, then you'll have to study 2 more years over here, graduate diploma in early childhood, plus you will have to study 1 more year. Then you can get English exemption. So you will qualify for permanent residency after 2 years then. So basically, looking at all those things, you have to decide how you can qualify. If you'd like to qualify through teaching, 1 year after only you can qualify to apply for permanent residency. If you ask me, for example, you work for 1 year as a restaurant manager, then you have a skill assessment in that category. And if you're saying, I also did this early childhood course after 1 year, and if you ask me what occupation has better options to get PR, after 1 year of time, when I'm finishing 1 year of experience in restaurant manager or when I'm finishing my teaching qualification, basically as per the current trend, teaching qualification or that occupation will have much more higher chances of getting 189 or 190 visa compared to restaurant manager. Restaurant manager, Victorian state government, they are not sponsoring for now. They are sponsoring, but it's just that pretty much they are looking at much more highly talented people. They are selecting people based on your salary. If you have a skilled partner, years of experience in the relevant field, and also English, that could probably become a bit difficult. So that's why early childhood teachers, they are inviting, sponsoring people so easily. And the 180 and also the cutoff is too less. So that way, if you're looking at that path, that could be one option as well. If nothing works, if you keep working in the same industry, 3 years after you can get permanent residency. So that are overall options you have. Basically, 1 year after, what will be the program from the state government side, we don't know. But then if you are doing this course, in order to get a skills assessment, you don't need any experience. So that's where the agents might be saying that you don't need any experience to qualify. Once you get your skills assessment, there are various visa options. If we are looking at employer sponsored visa, then only you can go for employer sponsored visa. So that option you will not have. When we talk about the GSM visa, General Skilled Migration, which is also known as points tested visas, three visa options you have: 189, 190, 491. If you are looking at 189 visa, it is all about your points. If you have experience in the relevant field or not, doesn't matter. More the points, higher the possibility of getting invitation to apply for permanent residency. In this occupation, there is a possibility that immigration may, the way the government is saying that they have much more higher shortage of construction people, construction occupations. Possible that the government in the coming year, coming financial year, they may invite civil construction, civil draft persons, probably with a minimum points, which is 65. So 189, no requirement of experience, that's correct. If we are looking at 190 and that is a state sponsored visa, it all depends on the state where you would like to apply. You haven't mentioned where you are studying this course. So depends. Some state says that you have to work in the same field for 6 months, for 3 months, for 1 year, depending on the state you are looking at. If they are asking that, then you have to work in the same field. If they are not asking for the experience, then you can qualify for the state sponsorship without having any experience. Same with the 491, two options you have in 491. One option is state sponsored visa. The other option is fully sponsored visa. You need a relative who is PR or citizen and living in regional area. If you have that, you can apply for that program. No need of experience. If you have experience, 1 year of experience, you get 5 points in Australia if it is Australian experience. If it is more years, then accordingly you get extra points. But if you don't have experience, it is still fine. You can apply. It's just that you don't get points for that. But if suppose the cutoff is 65 points only, and you have 65 points without experience, it is not state sponsored visa. Again, we have to rely on the state. If state is asked, you have to get it. If they don't ask for it, it is all good. As of now, as per the current year's requirement, South Australian state government, they are asking for experience. Queensland, they are asking for experience. Queensland, however, they have one pathway, which is called SBO pathway, small business pathway, where if you do business in regional Queensland, you still don't need any experience in the same field. But other two options, if you're going for, they ask for experience in the same field. Tasmanian state government, they generally ask for experience in the same field. There are other options though, like if you study there, if you have been living in this, things like that, then you can still qualify without having a job in the same field. However, if you have a job in the same field, you get a priority. So basically for experience, Victorian state government, Western Australian state government, New South Wales state government, they don't ask for experience. Canberra, ACT state government, they don't ask for it. So Northern Territory, Queensland, South Australia, and probably Tasmania. These are the 4 states which are asking for experience. They still have other options where you don't need experience. Other 4 states, they don't ask for experience, but they have their own requirement of sponsoring people. So you have to look at that state, then you may be having experience. But if you have more, if you provide more information about the state where you have studied or where you are planning to apply, then we can provide you more, detailed information. Kamal is asking, I'm living offshore and I have work experience of 4 years as a software engineer, application developer in Big 4 firm. I'm planning to move to Australia. Can you please put some pointers or approach for it so that I can start accordingly? Okay. You are saying that you are planning to move to Australia, but you haven't mentioned under which visa category. If it is very certain that you know that, okay, you are coming under this visa category, then I can provide you more information. But if you're looking at, most likely, I think you are looking at either employer, I think you are looking at employer sponsored visa. If it is the case, you can come on employer sponsored visa as long as you have a company over here who is willing to sponsor you. If you have that, you may qualify for permanent residency after working with them for some time, or you may apply under direct entry. 186 visa is called a permanent visa. Few companies, they are not happy or willing to sponsor you straight away for permanent residency under this 186 visa, permanent visa to make, but into visa. So it's like you'll have to work with the employer, fine. Or in between, you may look at this points tested visa. Visa is asking, please help us understand if a software engineer with 80 points, the chances of getting invited for offshore applicants. Look, basically, if you are offshore applicant, your target should be state sponsored visas. 189 in between, I think a year back, the government was giving priority to offshore applicants, and that's where some of the applicants with comparatively lesser points also got an invite compared to people who are applying from Australia. So if government is going to do something like that, that when they are inviting people, if they are giving priority to offshore applicants, or if not priority, but if they are inviting, if they are dividing, suppose a quota that out of 100% good English and good years of experience. What is good English? If you score superior English, which is 8 bands in all, in 𝐷ALS or equivalent in other exams, they look at people having at least 5 years or more years of experience. If you have 3 years of experience, you are still eligible. If you don't have any experience, you are still eligible, but basically then you get a priority. So basically from offshore applicants, we have seen people who have good English, good years of experience, and most likely last factor could be that if your partner is also qualified, you have a skilled partner. Skilled partner means your partner have 6 bands in each, which is competent English or equivalent score in other acceptable tests, then you can possibly qualify. To get 5 points, you get a priority that way. If your partner can get a skills assessment as well, so skill assessment criteria depends on what she has studied or he has studied. Based on that, you can possibly we can advise you more how you can get a skill assessment. So if your partner has 6 each, you can get 5 points. If your partner has skills assessment, you get 10 points. Now, for an example, if you ask me if I'm single, I'm still getting the 10 points. And if there is someone who has a partner who is getting 10 points from the partner, you are saying I have the same points. But basically, we have seen that some state governments, they give priority to people who have a skilled partner. So if you're single having 10 points, and if you, in the other case, if you have a partner and scoring 10 points, even though your points are same, because you have a skilled partner, you get a priority, because state thinks that with one application they are getting 2 qualified people, and every state government, they are getting limited quota, more people apply for state sponsorship. So they are like, with one place, if they are sponsoring one applicant in a way, which is the primary applicant, but with that, if they are getting another person who is also skilled, then it's good for them, because they don't have to use 2 places as such. Because if separately they are sponsoring 2 people, that to some states they invite people like that, you 5 points, still those people were invited first. But basically, so how it can help you is, if you don't have superior English, you try for that. That can increase your chances. Experience, pretty much you can't do anything, you know. It's like whatever years of experience you have, you might have already claimed, and you cannot jump around getting more years of experience. I mean, it's going to take time, you know, so that's not going to help you. Lastly, if you have a partner, tell your partner to get English and skill assessment. If your partner hasn't done that, that will increase your chances. Basically, those 2 things you should work on. Some states also say that if you have a job offer in Australia, then they sponsor you. So you may also look for a job over here. If nothing works, you may ask that employer to sponsor you then for the visa criteria. Kamal is asking, is IELTS or PT, which is preferred? Okay, look, it all depends on personal, I mean, everyone have their own approach. Some people, they think that IELTS is better because they have given IELTS in past and they are more comfortable writing it, you know, because IELTS is paper based. And that's also checked by a person who is sitting in front of you doing the speaking test, for an example. And some people, they are like, okay, we want, or we prefer going for PT because it has a good scoring. So probably we have seen most of the time that if you with the same person going for IELTS and same person going for PT, you will get better scoring compared to IELTS. And that's where we have seen most of the people for Australia, they have been giving PT, unless it is very must required that you have to go for IELTS in order to get a skill assessment. Or if the college is asking for IELTS only, things like that, then only people generally prefer, we have seen, going for IELTS. But it's personal thing, personal approach, up to you to decide whether you would like to go for IELTS or PT. The next question is from Samantha. I have a question about visa applications. If I already have a medical examination scheduled now, should I wait until examination is completed to submit my application, or can I submit it before then? Okay. Okay, so basically nothing to do with whether you would like to apply for visa now without doing medicals, or once you have done medicals and then you apply for the visa, doesn't matter. However, we have seen that if you are looking at getting the visa sooner, for example, then sometimes for some visa categories, decision ready application helps in a way that your application may get finalized automatically. However, it depends on the particular visa subclass. So some applications get automatically finalized if you have done medicals. Otherwise, you do it before you apply for the visa or after you apply for the visa, doesn't matter. If you need more time getting the visa, because some people prefer that, okay, they get longer visa because it's a temporary visa. So then they do medicals once immigration asks for it, for an example. But if it is a permanent visa, it is recommended that if you already have a HEP ID to do medicals, then better to do medicals and then apply for the visa. It might make your application quicker to get finalized. Should I have my coverage date for my OVSC to start on the day of the visa application submission? or only after my current OSSC expires at the end of August. Okay, so that means you are applying for 485 visa. So if you are applying for 485 visa, up to you. You can have your medicals done. We have seen some applications recently where 485 visa application has been granted automatically if you have already done medicals. But about the OVS equation, the simple thing is we generally tell people that what we have to look at is if you have a current health insurance, which is expiring suppose in 2 months and your visa is expiring in a month of time. So whatever is expiring first, if you have a, you will have most likely your student visa and you will have a student visa health cover, OHSC, right? So basically out of these two, whichever expires first, from the next day onwards, your policy for 485 visa must start. That is a mandatory criteria. If you miss out for even a single day and if the government get to know, they will refuse your visa. One thing. Second thing is that if in case your student visa is valid for 2 months and your insurance is also valid for 2 months. So suppose you started your OVSC after 2 months of time, but tomorrow or after a month, call the insurance provider and then tell them that, okay, my policy, I would like to start it from today itself. If you'd like to, you may ask for a refund for the OHSC policy. Okay. Dorothy is asking, my sister has a degree in bachelor's commerce, finance option. My sister has a degree in bachelor's commerce finance option with over 3 years of experience. Currently working in a bank in Kenya. What are her chances of getting skilled visa to Australia? Okay. You mentioned that she is working in a bank, but you haven't mentioned what position. But if she is working in any position other than occupation called a manager in a way. So if you're working, if she's working as a manager, then she can possibly use her experience to get a skills assessment under the occupation called financial institution branch manager. But if she's working as a cashier, teller, any other position like that, then pretty much that banking experience is not going to help. But if she has done BCom, it's not a mandatory criteria to have experience. She may still be able to get a skill assessment under the position of accountant. For accounting skill assessment, the requirement is she must have a degree, which she has. She will have to work on English test, which could be PT, IELTS, any of those, but she will have to do academic version. She will have to score 7 bands in each of the 4 modules of this test, which is reading, writing, speaking, listening. And if she has completed 7 particular accounting subjects, which is required by the skill assessment authority, such as CPA, so they have a specific subjects requirement. If she has studied all of those subjects, then she can get a skill assessment. Then she may look at PR options. If she get a skill assessment, then for accounting occupation, it is very tricky to get an invite. Tricky in terms that there are so many people waiting for an invite. And that's where people having much more higher skills, having 80, 90 points, 100 points, close to 100 points, like 95 points, because with 100 points, government have selected people recently. But less than 95 points, if you have, it is very difficult to get an invite. If she's interested in studying any course, then probably she may look at coming here on a student visa, and then she may look at any other options. Reese is asking, how can I sponsor a person aged 56 to my company with 20 plus years of experience in finance and accounting? So actually we have to see what your company does. How can I sponsor a person aged 50 to my company with 20 plus? So 20 plus years of experience, is it like the person is having or your company is 20 plus years old? But anyway, whichever it is, I think you are saying that the person has 20 plus years of experience, but basically we have to see whether your company has a need of an accountant position in the business or any finance role, for example, finance manager, or as a finance broker or things like that. But basically the applicant must have at least, and another thing is you are saying 56 years of age, so 56. So basically you can sponsor the person. It's just that they cannot get permanent residency. You can only call them on a temporary visa, because the age limit to apply for permanent residency under any category is maximum is 55. For most of the visa category, it is 45. But there are some options for people who are in between 45 to 55. But that option is not applicable in this case. So basically, if the applicant have relevant qualification, skills, and things like that, you can sponsor them possibly under 482 visa category, but it's just a temporary visa. One thing. Secondly, we also have to look at your company's profile and see whether that kind of position is possible in the business. So then we can go about that. So only temporary visa is possible then. just we can expect in July this year. Okay. New changes. One thing is about employer sponsored visa. We just discussed, the government is saying that they will reduce the requirement from 2 years of experience to 1 year for 482 visa, TSS visa. They are also going to change the TSS visa to skills in demand visa, where they are going to categorize people applying based on their salary. So basically they are going to categorize into 3 category: people earning, or the employers who are going to sponsor a person who is going to earn more than $135,000. They will be having the least scrutiny in terms of processing the application. Secondly, people earning between 70 to 135,000 people will have to still meet the minimum basic criteria as such, and they will be also scrutinized based on the profiles. And then third category will be people who will be sponsored having less than $70,000. I think that will be mainly for low skill level occupations, most likely the skill level 4 occupations, such as probably aged care workers or child care workers, things like that. No further clarification provided for that category for now. That's mainly for the employer sponsored visa. For the points tested visa, the government is planning to implement new point system. When they are going to implement that, we don't know for now. But then the government is planning for a bigger point system. As of now, the point system, the total point system is somewhere around 120, 140, something like this. But then the government is planning to make a 500 point system. Minimum requirement they are planning to make it is 300 points. If someone is scoring 400 or more points, then probably they will be invited automatically. So as soon as you apply, if you are claiming 400 points, you will be invited. Then you have to apply for the visa, but then you have to prove that you have that many points. If you can't prove that you have that many points, they will refuse your visa. People having in between 300 to 400 points, they will be selected as per the normal situations, how they are selecting for now. More points, earlier date of application will be selected, something like this. This is the basic information we have. We had a meeting with one of the skill assessment authority where there were relevant stakeholders from immigration, and that's where they have told about these things. And then later on, also the Greater Institute published a report saying that how they are going to plan this. But basically, this is what we're expecting. When that is going to happen, we don't know. Also, the state nomination criteria probably may change. If the point system is changing, for sure they will change. If point system is not changing, good possibility that they may keep the same criteria. So, because we have seen that the government is also focusing more on the salary part. So state governments may also implement that. We know some state governments, they have already that thing in place. For example, New South Wales for regional area, 491 state sponsorship, they ask for a salary. Victoria, they ask for a salary. Tasmania state government, they look at a salary, things like that. But anyway, also the government in the new point system, they are also planning to implement or they are going to give you points if you have a job which is in skill level 1 to 3 category. If it is not even in your same field, they can still give you points. Probably one thing. Secondly, they are also going to give you more points if you're earning more. That is another factor what they are planning to implement. And I think probably from new year, the government may also say that there will not be any occupation list. As long as your occupation is skill level 1, 2, or 3, then you may qualify. So that could be a big change, but let's see how government is going to do. Levan is asking, is youth work a good job to get a PR in South Australia? Is it on priority list for 190? Okay, so most likely, yes. If you are living there for 1 year, working for 6 months in the same field, I think you have a very good possibility of getting a state sponsorship from South Australia. So stick with that. I applied for architect PR with 70 points and planning to get another 10 for PT and 5 for RT. This morning mentioned that Victoria has not been inviting any trade onshore. Should I relocate, or which is the best option? Your occupation is not trade occupation. Architect is a professional occupation, one thing. So architects, to what I remember, they have been invited by Victorian state government. It's just that Victorian state government, they are inviting people under 190 category based on your salary, how much you're earning, whether you have a skilled partner, your English skills, and your years of experience in the same field. What we have noticed so far is that if you have one factor out of the first two, which is having a skilled partner or a salary of 100,000 or more, and one factor from having superior English, which is 8 bands in all, or having at least 1 year of Australian experience in the relevant field, or having at least 3 years of experience overseas in the relevant field, then you have a good possibility of getting an invite. If you have a skilled partner and salary of 100,000 or more, very high possibility that you will be invited. But basically, that is how they are inviting people. If you would like to move to any other state, you may look at moving to other state as well. Probably Western Australia could be the easiest state for you, but I recommend you wait until July, August, until the state governments are not publishing their criteria, see how they are planning, and then you may think. Or if you are happy with even 491, then you may target regional Victoria state sponsorship. For that, you are required to be living and working in regional Victoria, and you might still get it. Basically, for infrastructure occupation, we have seen Western Australia is very welcoming and sponsoring people under such occupations. So that is what you may target. Other states are there, it's just that they want you to be living there for 6 months, working there for 6 months or 1 year, things like that, studying there, you know. So basically you have to spend some time there. After 6 months you may qualify, or 1 year after you can qualify, something like this. So basically Western Australia, they don't ask anything like that. So that's why it could be the best option. Same way Victoria is also a good option if you work on the factors we have talked just now. Payman is asking, I am a vet doctor who studies PhD in Sydney. I have 2 years of experience as a vet nurse back in home Iran during my studies, DVM degree in Iran for 6 years. Can I use that employer later and just receipt, not a pay slip, to be assessed in vet assess and lodge my vet nurse 190 or 491? Okay. So look, if you'd like to get a skill assessment from your text documents, or could be superannuation or equivalent in your home country if you have. So one document is a must requirement. In case if you are saying that you don't have anything, you may try with some promotional letters, like for example, after 1 year of work, if you got any promotional letter saying that your salary got increased to this, you have an employment contract for an example, and you get a separate letter from your employer saying that you have worked and you got salary from this period to this period, you have paid this much, from this period to this period, you have paid this much, something like this. So some more documentation, declaration from your colleagues where you have worked, you know, a declaration from your side explaining what has happened, why they haven't provided documents like that. So with that, you can give it a try. But in absence of pay slips, bank statement, tax, or superannuation statement, any one of this is generally a requirement. If you don't have that, they may assess it, they may not assess it based on case by case basis. Sometimes if you have any other form of evidence, for example, I don't think so in your case, but just an example I'm telling, so that other people who is also watching this session will get some idea. So other documents could be like if you are living in the country on some visa, and on that visa it's been mentioned that you are working as a vet doctor, vet nurse, whatever it is. That also piece of evidence you can use because it's a like official document, so that might increase one document as such. So you should get a letter from them saying that why pay slips were not offered, but then they are providing this confirmation that from this date to this date, this was your salary, how you were paid, from this to this date, your salary was this, something like this. If you need any assistance, we can certainly help you with the assessment. Ocampo is asking, I'm currently working part-time here in Perth since February. I also started my MBA October last year. I plan to lodge EOI for 190. I can claim 85 points without state nomination. My occupation is organization methods analyst. I do not understand what does the 6 months employment mean as a requirement. Please help me understand. Okay. So basically Western Australian state government, they are saying that if you are living in Western Australia, you are eligible to apply. If you are living outside of Western Australia also, you are still eligible, but they give priority if you are living there. So requirement is you are living in Western Australia and your occupation is on the Western Australia's occupation list. So there are multiple occupation lists, 3 occupation lists, schedule 1 for schedule 2, they have 2 lists for graduates and for normal people. So if you have finished you look at graduate list, for example, but basically you just don't have to select any option like you are qualifying in a general or graduate list. As long as you apply for EOI and if you're eligible, your occupation is eligible, they may select you based on the points. So first thing you have to do is whether your occupation is on Western Australia's list. I'll quickly have a look whether it is there for this year though. If it is there, then we can you can apply for application called EOI. Once you apply for EOI, the state government see how many people have applied for EOI, what are their points, where are they living, and what is the date of application. Person who is living in Western Australia is given first priority. If you're also living there in Western Australia, I am also suppose living in Western Australia, then the second thing they are going to look at is how many points you got and then how many points I have. The person who have higher points will be selected first. if two person have the same points, you got same points, I got same points, that means we both have suppose 65 points. Then they are going to see who applied for the application first. That person will be invited first. So I just checked organization method analyst, that is on schedule 2. That means you are eligible. So once you are eligible, apply for EOI. Based on your points, they are going to select you. If you have good points, you are saying you will have 85 points plus 5 points from the state. I think it's good points. Not many people have this many points under this occupation. So you have good possibility, just that whether they are going to select people under this occupation, that is what we don't know. In upcoming rounds, if they are going to, then that could be the thing. About the 6 months employment. So what they say is, suppose you applied for EOI and you got selected. Once you are selected, they will give you 28 days of time to find a job in Western Australia. So you'll have to provide a 6 months of job offer letter on full-time basis with an employer based in Western Australia. If you have a job offer within that 28 days, you submit to them, and then they can finally consider your application if you're meeting all of the criteria. If in case within those 28 days you did not find an employer, then that application, they will say they are not going to consider it further. So basically, again, you'll have to apply for a new UI. If you get selected again, then again, you'll have 28 days. You find another employer, any employer, if you get, you can qualify. If you think you are not getting a job in the same field in Western Australia, then you may go for 491 state sponsorship, where they don't ask for a job. So that is the good thing. 491, it's a pathway to PR. So you get 5 years visa. Once you get it, you have to stay for 3 years in regional. You have to work in regional. Once you get a visa, you can do any job you want. So it could be the same field or any other job. If you like to do your own business, self-employed, whatever it is, you can do so. 3 years, you have to stay and work in regional area. Perth is all regional area. So after 3 years, you can apply for PR. If you're targeting straight away PR, then it's about points. You might have to wait longer depending on how many people are waiting. Sayada is asking, please, can someone answer my question? Would be grateful. My student visa expires in December 2024 and my 491 bridging visa A will be active after that. My question is, will I still have to follow student visa work requirements even when 491 bridging visa is active, or can I start working full time once 491 bridging visa gets activated? And following all my student visa conditions, even though I am on 491 bridging visa, or I can withdraw from the course in middle as soon as my 491 bridging visa gets active. So basically, once your bridging visa comes in effect, you have to follow your bridging visa conditions. So that allows you to work full time. So no problem as such. About studying, it is your choice whether you like to continue the study. However, it's not a visa condition. So if you like to stop studying, you may stop studying. That's totally up to you. But until you're holding your student visa, you have to keep following your student visa conditions that are working 24 hours when your course is in session and per week. And Nguyen is asking, I currently do Masters of Business Analytics and will finish in July 2025. After that, I'll do 485 for 2 years. Can you suggest a pathway after that to assure timeline to get SA and look at PA pathway to get a skill assessment? Is it? Okay. So basically, if you're doing a qualification in IT, you'll have to, if you're going for a 485 for points tested visa and also for one. Second option is, if you don't want to do PY, if you have a job in the relevant field as a business analyst, for an example, or a system analyst, then you complete 1 year of experience, even 20 hours per week if you, but it must be paid job. If you complete 1 year of experience, you can get a skill assessment and then you can look at PR options. If you already have in IT or while studying, you need 2 years of experience. If it is before your qualification or during your qualification, you can still get a skill assessment and you can look at PR options. You haven't mentioned about your bachelor's degree. If it is some other field, we can also see if you can get a skill assessment in some other occupations. Then we can also advise you about PR pathways through that. But basically through IT as of now, you'll have to complete professional year program or 1 year experience. Your 1 year will be consumed for 485 visa. You'll have 1 more year of time to get permanent residency. Depending on at that time, now you should start working on your points, that is PT, NATI, whatever you can to increase your points and target 189 depending on where you are living, working. So then we can target the state sponsored visas, and you'll have to also see what are the criteria from that state government. Accordingly, we can plan then how you can meet the criteria. Samantha is asking, I would like to know if I meet Australian study requirement for 485 visa. I studied 1 year of my bachelor's degree in Australia, 2 years of credit transfer from overseas studies, immediately followed by 1.5 years for my master's degree. Can I confirm if this makes me eligible? Yes. So basically you have to have 2 years of study in Australia. So you can claim 1 year of study for your bachelor's and 1.5 year study from your master's, and you can qualify for 485 visa. You have to make sure that you were in Australia when you were studying this course for that 1 year for bachelor's and 2 years or 1.5 years for master's, as long as you were physically present in Australia for at least 16 months when your course was there, when you were studying this course. So basically you qualify. You can anyway contact us, and we can still check your eligibility based on what were the start dates and dates for the qualification. Then we can help you with the program, with the visa. Tapan is asking, I have finished my master's and I'm currently on a 485 visa. I'm doing certificate 3 in a different field right now, which is a trade most likely. So for my PR application, what will be totally up to you. Most likely what you're going to do is you're going to claim 15 points for your master's degree and also 5 points for studying 2 years in. And through your certificate 3, you are going to apply for PR. I mean, you are going to get a skill assessment probably through that certificate 3. I think that's the purpose that you have started this certificate 3. So suppose certificate 3 is in carpentry. You complete your 1 year experience as a carpenter, get a skill assessment, job ready program, get a skill assessment, and then you look for PR option through carpenter, but you can still claim points for having a master's degree, which is 15 points. Certificate 3, if you would like to claim points, you can only get 10 points, but if you have done master's degree, so you get 15 points through your master's, and also 5 points you get for studying 2 years in Australia, even though you are applying under carpentry, for an example, and your qualification for master's is in some other field. So that's fine. It's irrespective. As long as you have done a master's degree, even if it is offshore qualification, you still get 15 points, and you're going to get 5 points for studying 2 years. Certificate 3, most likely it will be 1 year course. You can't get 5 points if you don't use your master's, but basically you will have 15 points for your master's, 5 points for your Australian qualification, and you can apply for PR through your certificate 3, whatever the occupation is. Atman is asking, I am 24 years old, single, living in New South Wales, and I have completed my bachelor's degree in cybersecurity from Western Australia. Okay, I had 2 years of work experience in Australia, obtaining 190 visa in New South Wales compared to Western Australia. Which option offers earliest possibility? And should I stay in New South Wales where I have permanent ongoing role with New South Wales government? Is sitting at 85 points for 189, 90 points for 190 with positive skill assessment. Okay. Look, basically for your occupation, I'll recommend New South Wales is better, because for Western Australia, they says that anyone who is living in Western Australia or applying from any other state or offshore are all eligible. First thing. New South Wales, they says you have to be living in New South Wales for 6 months to qualify for 190. So basically, people who are just moving to Western Australia, they can also qualify. But once you are eligible, Western Australia still living in Western Australia will be given priority. So good. I mean, the good thing is generally that you don't have to be there for 6 months of time as New South Wales is asking. So basically, I think there will be more people qualifying under Western Australia state nomination. People who are moving there, there will become comparatively higher competition. Secondly, if you compare the quota between Western Australia and New South Wales have a more quota for 190 or 491 state nomination compared to Western Australia. Third thing is that Western Australian state government, as we discussed, they says that we are prioritizing people, hospitality, teaching, health, and this infrastructure, civil construction, all those occupations. Because of that, other occupations get a lesser priority. However, when you look at New South Wales, they says we give priority to IT occupations plus infrastructure occupations, teaching, health occupations, something like this. So basically, all those points, if you consider, then New South Wales is better. Also, one more thing is that Western Australian state government, they select people based on points. They don't see how you are getting those points. So for an example, if you are saying that you have 8 bends in all and you have NATI, for an example, and you are claiming suppose 85 points. However, the other end or other person, so in that case, you both have 85. They don't give priority based on your experience. So they will see who applied first. So if the other person applied first, you got Western Australia. For New South Wales, they look at how many points you got, how much you have scored in English, how many years of experience you have in the relevant field. So basically, if you are having the same points, but you have experience, you get a priority. We have also seen that sometimes we have seen people having 90 points without any experience. Some people having 85 points with 1 year experience or more, they get in. Looking at all those factors, New South Wales is better for you. And also they have been inviting more IT people, having more shortage of IT skilled people. So I think that is better that way. And you already have a job here, you might have to go. So that is another thing. Sylvia is asking, I am living in Western Australia. So many questions from Western Australia. Finishing master's degree of teaching Chinese overseas. Master degree of teaching Chinese overseas. Finish. Okay. Have a placement teaching 6 to 9 years of old student. If I want to apply for skill assessment at AIT, how many days of placement do I need to finish to meet the requirement? I also study hospitality now. Is it better to try for 491 or 190 using my degree after completing my study? For applying for 45, 35 years of age, 7 months, 35 years old, 7 months, still can I apply or not? Okay. So I did not well understand your query, but I'll just tell you what I understood based on the direction you have done in teaching overseas. Your first question is how many days of supervised teaching practice is required. So the requirement is 45 days of supervised teaching practice. So if you have done a placement as part of the qualification, 45 days at least, then you qualify. If it is even 1 day less, the skill assessment authority, ITSL, they don't consider. If you say I have done 1 month of placement, which is 30 days for an example, and if you say I have 10 years of experience as is a must requirement as part of your qualification. Outside of your qualification, whatever experience you have, whatever days you have done, that won't be considered. So basically the simple answer is 45 days. You also mentioned that you are for PR through that or through probably this teaching. If you can get a skill assessment through teaching, then I think it's much more better. Also, I don't know whether you have finished your qualification in hospitality already in Western Australia. If not, then it's good that if you are qualified in teaching, you can start looking at PR options through that now itself. However, in hospitality, you'll have to work for 1 year at least to get a skill assessment. I don't know whether you are doing certificate 3 or diploma or what, but if you're doing certificate 3 or certificate 4 in kitchen management, you can qualify as a chef, cook. You will need 1 year experience called job ready program. Then you get a skill assessment. Then you may look at PR. If you're looking at diploma of hospitality, you may qualify as a restaurant manager, for an example. That also requires 1 year experience to get a skill assessment. Then you can qualify for PR. So basically for hospitality occupations, you will need 1 more year to qualify. For qualify now itself, one thing. Second, so you don't have to wait for 1 year. Second thing is teachers, much more higher shortage. So it's comparatively easier to get PR. For the other hospitality, there is a competition. So that's why it is a bit tricky. About applying for 485 visa, if you're applying now, as long as you're applying until you are not 36, 35 years, 7 months, it is totally fine. Basically, until you are meet the criteria for tier visa. So if you have studied certificate 3 for diploma in hospitality, if I assume, assuming it correctly, then you'll have to also get a skill assessment called provisional skill assessment through TRA. Under the chef occupation, for that you need paid experience as a chef, or as part of your qualification, if you had 360 hours of vocational placement, then also you can get a skill assessment that will be required to apply for your TR visa, 485 visa. And then you can qualify for PR after working for 1 year, getting a skill assessment as a cook, chef, restaurant manager, whatever it is, and then apply for state sponsorship 189, depending on what occupation you're going for. Or if you can get a skill assessment in teaching, you can qualify for PR sooner. Mehul is asking, I have 8090. Can you tell me which state is good for civil technician and civil engineering? My visa expiring in March 2025. I have 1 year of experience. More options for this situation. I don't want to apply for student visa because next month my marriage. So please help me. Okay. Basically, to what I understand, I don't think you have a skill assessment under civil technician, because civil technician usually requires 3 years of experience to get a skill assessment. Let me still see one more thing. Just a second. Okay, that's fine. I think you got it through Vetasis. Probably then 1 year experience is fine. Okay, so for civil engineering technician, or probably civil draft person, for these two occupations, you haven't mentioned which state you are in, but then as of now, if you look at this year, these occupations were prioritized by Western Australian state government. If you already have a skill assessment, the civil technician, I strongly recommend 190 state sponsorship or a 491 standard that occupation. You can have multiple EUIs as well. So you can have one application as civil technician, one application as civil draft person. But basically, if you're eligible for a civil technician skill assessment, if you haven't got a skill assessment now yet, for example, I strongly recommend to get a skill assessment as civil technician compared to person. People can get a skill assessment without having even experience through Engineers Australia if they have done advanced diploma qualification, but civil technician requires 1 year experience no matter what. So basically you will have lesser competition in civil technician. So that's why I'm recommending that. Western Australia is the good state for now, the best state for now. But it's like if you have worked in particular states, you are saying you have 1 year of experience. If the state where you are living and if they are sponsoring people with 1 year experience or 6 months experience, then I think that could also be a good option. But if you tell us more about which state you are as of now in, then we can tell you whether to stay in that state or whether to move. But for now, I'll recommend you wait for a month to 2 months until you get to know about all the state, and then you can plan to move. Umer is asking, I have a question that if I'm submitting one EUI for both 19491, I need advice. It is useful to submit separate EUIs 19491, and is there any requirement for it? It all depends on the state. There is no need to even apply for multiple EUIs. For example, if we talk about Victoria, you can have just one EUI for 19491 both, because ROI application, registration of interest, you can. If you are applying for some other states, for an example, New South Wales, they strictly says that you cannot have two applications, one for 191 for 491. In the same EUI, you cannot mention 19491 both, or if they get to know that you are applying under multiple category, they may not consider you. So it depends actually on the state, and you had mentioned about the state, so I can't comment more on that. But if you can provide more information, then I can tell you more. Ju is asking, as a copywriter with 85 points for 190, as a copywriter with 85 points 190 and 95 points for 491, which state I can apply for PR as an offshore applicant? South Australia doesn't allow my relevant masters, bachelor's done offshore. Okay. Copywriter, I think ACT, Australian Capital Territory, they invite copywriters easily. Also, you may try for New South Wales. They have been also inviting people, to what I remember. Other than that, any other state you qualify for, you can have multiple applications submitted to multiple state governments. South Australia, they usually not easily sponsor copywriters, to what I have noticed. But if in case you are eligible, you are free to apply for expression of interest. But most likely your target will be, I think, New South Wales state government and ACT state government. You should apply for both 19491, whichever you get it, good for you. But basically, if you are qualifying in other state also, you should still apply, because you never know who is going to invite you. But most likely these two states we have seen, they have been inviting copywriters. So that's why. Punit is asking, I am an accountant having 1 year of experience in regional Victoria. My wife is a teacher. I want to get my skill assessment done. I have scored 87 out of 90 recently. Do I need to get a qualification skill assessment or employment skill assessment? It is not mandatory to have employment assessment. So you can just get a qualification assessment and you can still qualify for PR. If you get your MCA, then it becomes a bit easier for you to. MCA means it's like immigration may not raise much concerns in your duties and things like that to see whether it's a skilled role, because the professional authority has given opinion that yes, it's a relevant employment. However, we have seen that generally speaking, if you're going through a relevant skill assessment authority, they have difficult or complex assessment criteria. They are very professional authority. They do professional, assessment for those occupations particularly. So they are well aware of your situation. They are well aware of your industry experience and things like that. So basically, that's why sometimes it becomes a bit tricky to get a skill assessment. But if you're saying that I've been doing proper duties, then you can straight away claim points to immigration. Even you can straight away apply for immigration. Based on the qualification assessment. It's just a relief if you'd like to get it assessed, employment assessed as well. Hansani is asking, I'm currently studying Masters Business Analytics, but not ACS accredited. I am partly qualified chartered accountant, Sri Lanka, few more subjects to finish in final level. I have 4 years of part-time in Australia. Can I apply for PR now? Okay. Look, basically, it's not a requirement that your masters must be accredited by the relevant. If you don't have relevant qualification, if your qualification is not accredited, but as long as you have sufficient subjects relevant to business analytics and your masters is major in business analytics, so I don't think it should be a problem for you to get a skill assessment. It's just that you'll have to do a professional year program after you finish your degree or work for 1 year in the relevant field to get a skill assessment for PR. One thing. Secondly, based on your overseas experience, accountancy, you are saying you are chartered accountancy and just few more subjects to do. Once you are done with all the subjects, then you have very good 7 bands in all in academic version of IELTS, PT or equivalents go in other exams. Once you get a skill assessment, then you can start looking at PR option. For IT, as you understand, you are saying you are finishing, you are studying this course, so it's going to take some time until you finish your course. Probably, if you have just started the course, probably 2 more years to finish your course, 1 more year to do professional year program or 1 year experience. Then you get a skill assessment. So 2-3 years, you're going to delay your PR. If you can get a skill assessment through accountancy, somehow you may target 189, you got a job as a bookkeeper. For now, if you are doing a bookkeeping job, but tomorrow if your employer is of an accountant, and if they are happy to sponsor you, then you may use your overseas experience and you can still get employer sponsored visa. So that could be another option as well. It's just that you might need a skill assessment if you're directly looking at PR, or you may go for 482 visa, which is a temporary visa, which does not require experience. The skill assessment. But anyway, you can contact us for further consultation. Punit is asking, also my wife is giving her exam next month for teacher from India and recently and filed through her. Look, so many people actually ask this question that should I wait until I get my NATI or more points, whatever it is. What we recommend to people is that as long as you are eligible for PR, you should apply, because if you're applying with lesser skills, it's not going to harm you in a way, not going to give you any disadvantage. Tomorrow, if you get higher points, or your partner is eligible and she would like to qualify for the main applicant, it is not like she will not qualify later on, or you're not going to get any disadvantage. But how you can get disadvantaged if you don't apply for now and wait for your partner to qualify and then look for PR, for an example, is that in case in these 3-4 months, 5-6 months until your partner get her skill assessment, in between, suppose the government selected few people under your occupation, then you might regret that I should have applied, So applying is not going to make any concern as such. Also, the government is not charging even for processing EUI, ROI, whatever it is, depending on the state. So why not to apply, Sai Kumar is asking, masters in February 2025. What are the best universities for study? Computer science engineering, artificial intelligence, machine learning. I do research my list of University of Queensland, Adelaide, Monash. Any suggestions? Okay. Look, basically for universities, it's not going to make any difference when you are applying for permanent residency. Yes. However, one more thing is that as per the new point system, the government is saying that if you are studying from a good research universities, then they might give you additional points. So basically, the government is saying that if you're studying from reputed universities, you might get extra points. So that way, if you're going to study from particularly universities, you might get extra points, which can benefit you in terms of when you are applying for permanent residency. But otherwise, for PR, it does not matter much. If you're asking about studying, making a career, always good university helps because of 2-3 things. Firstly, if you are studying in good university, you will have students having similar background. That means you will have a good exposure. One thing. Secondly, good universities have better resources in terms of facilities, instruments, technologies, things like that. So that way it can help you. Plus, in your resume, when you are saying I'm from Monash, it always help when you are looking at jobs, things like that. So basically that way it gives you benefit in terms of your career. Also, it increases your chances of getting a job and having a motivation, your self-confidence that, okay, yes, I studied from Monash, for an example. Earl is asking, I'm now in New Zealand. Right now I'm carers, but I don't have a working visa here. Now I'm just holding visitor visa. Do I have an email or website that we can apply for sponsorship visa to work as a caregiver? How many years of work experience they are required? I'm holding level 3. I think level 3 qualification, I guess. Basically, if you're looking at any options over here, it is only the employer sponsored visa through caregiver. You don't have any other options left. You cannot apply for general skilled migration because it's low level occupation. You have to look at an aged care for an example, or you have to look at an employer based in specific DAMA area. So there is a program called DAMA, Designated Area Migration Agreement. So you'll have to find an employer based in such area, designated area migration agreement. So you need an employer from that particular area, or you find an aged care provider anywhere in Australia. If they are willing to sponsor you, you generally need 1 year of experience to qualify. So if you have that, and if employer is happy to sponsor, you will have to get a skill assessment because you don't have Australian qualification or experience. So you'll have to get a skill assessment, which is still easy, not a problem. But finding an employer is so difficult. Now, how you can look for employees that the government website, Department of Home Affairs, have a list of approved employers who have entered into this agreement. So what you can possibly do is search for labor agreement home office, something like that in Google. You'll get most likely the first link. If you go on that link, it will provide a list of employers who are already approved to sponsor people under such occupation. So basically you'll have to contact those employers and see if they're happy to sponsor. But it's not like you can only qualify through them. If you find another employer online, there are so many advertisement portals like Seek, Career, Job Active, all those things. So You just look for some recruitment websites and then apply for jobs through that. So many employers are eagerly looking for qualified people. So basically, if you apply and if they are willing to sponsor you, because basically you have to ask for sponsorship as anyway, they will get to know that, okay, you are not in Australia, so you need some visa to be in here. So if in case they says we are happy to sponsor, so if they are not already approved, they will have to get approval. That's the difference. If some employer, the business, suppose on that website, immigration website, if you can see that that employer's details are there, that means they're already approved sponsor, then they have already sponsored people in past, or they are planning to sponsor people in a way. So they have already done one part of the process. So it becomes a bit easier in that way. But it's not mandatory. If you find a new employer who haven't started the process, they can anyway start now. Finding employees, just the recruitment websites you may target. There are some recruitment companies also which you may target, saying that, okay, caregiver jobs or recruitment agencies, something like this. If you look for, there are specific agencies just look after this kind of industry. So that might become a bit easier for you to have a job. Or if you have some connections, if you know some people over here, friends, your family members, you may ask them if they are working in similar industry, they may be able to refer to you in their respective companies. That might probably make a difference. Otherwise, it is a bit difficult. You may otherwise come on a visitor visa over here, and then you may approach employers to see if they can sponsor you. You can showcase your skills. Payman is asking, I am a vet doctor who asked before. The other point I wanted to attract your attention was that I worked as a vet nurse during my studying in Iran. I have seen on VETAS's website that at least 1 year work experience should be post-qualification, but mine is during qualification. Is there any problem with that? Okay. So basically, in that case, what happens? Generally speaking, they says that they want experience post-qualification. If you don't have experience post-qualification, in certain cases, in some occupations, they allow that if you have experience gained before your qualification, they consider that as well. Let me quickly check. Yes, that option is still available in this occupation. So basically, if you say that I have qualification and after finishing my qualification, I don't have 1 year experience, in that case, you basically need a total of 4 years of experience. 1 year of experience must be within last 5 years. If you have that, so 4 years during qualification or before qualification, but you just need 1 year of experience within last 5 years. If you have that, then we can get a skill assessment still. So that is, yes, it's possible. Again, you may contact, we can see your eligibility and we can guide you through that. Ocampo is asking, hi, I am planning to apply here in Western Australia. My occupation is organization methodology. I can because I'm on student visa, I'm working part-time, but how do I fulfill requirement on full-time employment contract in Western? I think we already discussed about this, so it's all good. 6 months of job offer is required if they select you after you apply for EOI. So that's the thing we have discussed. Reese is asking 186 direct entry employer requirements for software engineers, please. So if you're looking at 186 visa under software engineer, you need from your side. So there are two requirements, one from the business side, one from the applicant side. From business side, they have to apply for nomination where they have to prove that they tried looking for locals who are Australian permanent residents or Australian citizens who have relevant skills to perform the job, but they did not get any. And they have a genuine need of the position in their business. They want someone to do that job so that they can continue their business operation or they can grow, things like that. So they have to prove that there is a genuine need, first thing. Secondly, they have to prove we looked for qualified people. LMT, that's what it's known as, labor market testing. So they have to advertise position online. It's not a mandatory criteria for 186 visa to do that LMT requirement, but then we strongly recommend that to prove there is a genuine need. In the genuinely, they have tried looking for qualified people. So they have to prove that there is a genuine need. They have tried looking for people. They did not get anyone. That's why they are nominating you. Without LMT also, they can still grant you the visa, but we recommend that. Other than that, salary market justification, you have to prove that in the market, whatever the other employers are paying to employees, something similar, this employer is also going to pay you, because the government is saying they don't want any unfair things to happen for people who are going for this employer sponsored visa. So basically, your employer has to prove that they tried researching and then they got to know that this is the salary market is offering, or they already have people working in their business and then they are also offered as per the market salary. So that salary they are offering to you, then also it's fine. So basically, all those things also they have to prove that they are going to offer you duties of a software engineer relevant role. And then they have to provide you with employment contract for job of at least 2 years. That's the requirement from their side. They have to also prove that the business is profitable. If it is not profitable, why not profitable? Why currently they have a loss, but how come they are saying that they will have profit in future? They have a good sales depending on how many people are working. So all those things we have to look at from applicant side of it. From your side, you need a qualification relevant to that field, software engineering, so bachelor's of IT, computer science, BCA, whatever it is. Plus, you need minimum of 3 years of full-time experience. If you don't have full-time, equivalent part-time experience is required. Part-time means if you have 6 years part-time, it is equivalent to 3 years full-time. So then you can qualify. So qualification plus 3 years experience, one requirement. Second requirement is you need competent English, which is having passport from certain countries like UK, USA, Canada, New Zealand, Ireland, or scoring at least 6 bands in each of the 4 modules. Then you can get a skill assessment or equivalent in other exams like PT, TOEFL, Cambridge. Third requirement is you need a skill assessment that is given by ACS, Australian Computer Society. They have multiple ways to get a skill assessment. First option is that if you have minimum qualification, relevant qualification at a level of bachelor's or higher in the relevant field and 2 years of experience in the relevant field, you can get a skill assessment. If you have studied in Australia, you have an option to do PY, professional year, or work for 1 year and you get a skill assessment, something like this. But basically 3 years full-time experience plus qualification plus 6 each and a skill assessment. If you have this, you can qualify. In certain situations, if you don't have a relevant qualification, if you have at least 5 years of experience, you can still qualify. But you can contact us. You can ask your employer if they have any queries. We can talk to them also, and we can help them with these queries and help with the processing of this application as well. Taban is asking, is job ready program and skill assessment state specific? If I finish my job ready program and skill assessment in Victoria and then move to Canberra for 1 year, for a year, will it still be valid? Yes, it's totally fine. Job ready program is a federal program. So basically you can use it anywhere you want in any state. So it doesn't matter. It's valid for 3 years. So you can use it whenever you want within that 3 years. Ranbir is asking, with the ACS, we can get 3 occupation skill assessment with the same application now. So which occupations have more chances in New South Wales? Software engineer, analyst, ICT support engineer. Okay. Look, basically what we recommend is, what I recommend probably is that if you're going for some occupation which is on MLT SSL list, so many people are actually getting assessment under that occupation group, which is like software engineer, analyst, programmer, developer, programmer. All those are in MLT SSL. So we have seen if you go some off track and get a skill assessment, suppose as ICT support engineer, ICT systems test engineer, things like that, you will have better chances of getting an invite because comparatively less people apply for it, and that's where less applications, so less cutoff. That's what we have seen in past. So that's what I will recommend. Anyway, if you're getting multiple skill assessment, you can probably ask them for a software engineer and then probably ICT support engineer and another one, probably any other occupation, so then you can have multiple applications and see how they are inviting. But most likely, I think support engineer will have a better chance than software engineer. UJ is asking positive skill assessment as a developer programmer with proficient English, partner skills and proficient English. Okay. Both with 100 plus salary, total 85 points onshore in Victoria for 1+ years. What are the chance of 190? I think you haven't applied in the recent financial program, or you might have applied a bit late. Otherwise, you have very high chances of getting an invite. So just wait for the new program to open. And then I think most likely you will be selected unless the government is making changes in the requirements and you don't qualify in that categories. I mean, in the requirements. But otherwise, I think you have very good chances. You don't have to work on your points because Victorian state government, they don't look at your points. They just look at your skills. That is your salary, your skill partner. I mean, if you have a skill partner in English and then years of experience. So pretty much, I think you have good possibility of getting an invite. Mahindran is asking how many years of work experience is required to be eligible for employer sponsored visa. 482, as of now, as per the current requirement, the requirement is qualification. If you have relevant qualification plus 2 years of experience, you are eligible. 2 years full-time experience you need. And immigration, they prefer experience within last 5 years. However, it is not a mandatory criteria. So we got people who had experience outside of 5 years and we still got the visa approved. But on their website, if you have noticed, they says we need 2 years, generally 2 years experience within 5 years. That's what they say. If you have a qualification which is not relevant, so suppose if I'm applying for a chef occupation and I don't have a relevant qualification, then you need 3 years full-time experience to qualify for 482 in absence of qualification. If you have a qualification, 2 years. For 482 visa, the government is saying they are going to reduce the work experience requirement from 2 years to 1 year in this year, November. So once it happens, then that is the thing. For 186 visa, if you're applying for direct entry, then you need 3 years of full-time experience, 6 bands in each from your side. From primary applicant and a skill assessment under an occupation which is on MLT SSL list, medium to long term skill strategic list, then you can qualify for 186. If you're going for 186 through 482 visa, which is transition residence stream, TRT pathway, then you have to work while holding 482 visa for 2 years, and then you can qualify for 186. In that case, skill assessment is not a must requirement. If my employer sponsor me 482 or 186, how long do I have to work with them? So basically, when you apply for this 482 visa or 186 visa, so when you apply for 482 visa, once it is granted, it will come with a condition that you have to work with the same business. So for duration of your 482 visa, you have to work with the business, one thing. Secondly, if you get another employer, and if another employer is happy to sponsor you, then you can change your employer. So that's fine. And for 186 visa, when you apply, the employer, they are saying that we have a need of this position in our business for 2 years of time, and you also sign the contract accordingly. So it is expected that you work with the business for 2 more years, but it's not a mandatory criteria. It's not a visa criteria basically for 186. So your 186 visa will not come with a condition that you have to work with the same business. For 482, until you're holding the visa, you have to work with them. Hardik is asking for business analyst, how much experience is required? I don't know for what purpose you're asking, but if it is for skill assessment, 1 year experience. If you don't have a professional year program, if you have a professional year program, 1 year is fine. If it is, you have 1 year experience after your Australian qualification at a level of bachelor's or higher. If you are saying you don't have any Australian qualification, then minimum experience requirement is 2 years if you have a relevant qualification at a level of bachelor's or higher. If it is for state sponsorship, you're asking, then it depends on the state. Some state, they don't ask for experience, like Victoria, they don't ask for experience. Some state ask for 6 months, like South Australia. Some state ask for 2 years. For example, Northern Territory, for 190, they ask for 2 years experience. So it depends. If you're asking about experience for points purpose, you need at least 1 year in Australia to claim 5 points. 3 years, you get 10 points. 5 years, you get 15. 8 years, if you're in Australia, you get 20 points. Offshore, if you're minimum 3 years, you get 5. 5 years offshore, you get 10. 8 years or more, 15. Reese is asking, can you please talk to us more on how to apply for global talent visa if we have such company met the income threshold, still looking for recognition from person company, but all the other guidance on this visa, how is this assessed and does this visa get declined? Okay, so look, basically, I think because you know part of it, so the process is you have to apply for expression of interest. You showcase them what skills you have, what you have done, how your skills can benefit Australia. For an example, if you are already earning that, it's good. If you're not earning, you have to explain them why do you think you're going to earn that threshold income. If you're already earning that, you have to showcase what you are probably capable of, how much you can get, things like that. That will improve your chances. So first you apply for EOI. We are going to assess your EOI application. If they think that yes, you have much more higher skills, you have talent, highly skilled, national, international recognition, things like that. So then they are going to select you to apply for visa. If they are selecting you, then the chance of visa is much more higher, unless you are claiming something while making EOI application, something which is not correct. And based on that thing, if they have selected you, then they will still refuse your visa. Most likely that is the concern. Otherwise, generally, if you are invited, then the chance of getting visa is much more higher. There are some other formalities, other requirements to follow, which you have to still meet. How is this assessed? So basically, they look at your skills. They don't want people who are working as a professional. For example, if I'm working as a software engineer, if I'm working as an engineer, like a civil engineer, telecom engineer, project manager, things like that, they don't usually consider people like this. They don't want professional people in a way, unless you have a national, international recognition. But basically, they want people who are entrepreneurs, people who are working at much more senior positions for multinational companies. For an example, people who have done very good research. For an example, the research had probably helped government or private companies to have much more bigger turnover. For an example, something very innovative, for an example, or your skills, you can prove that is going to help a lot of Australians to get trained and perform better jobs, for example, things like that. So those kind of things they look at. If you have something like this, then good possibility of getting an invite. If you are doing normal roles, for an example, then you understand that so many people are working as a professionals. So many people have done PhD, for an example, even in Australia, and so many people applying from offshore. So just doing a PhD nowadays, they are not sponsoring people. They want to see the quality of your research, your work, and things like that. But anyway, so multiple factors they look at. There is no specific guideline. I can tell you that, okay, yes, if you have this or that, you are going to get selected for sure. But yes, if you have much more high level of profile, entrepreneur, having very good established business, known, having news articles, all those things, you have been publishing, presenting in a lot of articles, news, and then TED shows and things like that, then you have better chances, something like this. But there is no definitive answer to this. We can certainly help you to apply and we can make relevant submissions which can increase your chances of getting an invite, because we have known how they are selecting people. Earl is asking, okay, so that question I have already covered. Norman is asking, if the GTA visa is being replaced by a national innovation visa, is it still worth submitting EUI for GTA? Now I know department said there will be 4,000 places, but do you think there is enough backlog for this number to fill without any new invitation for GTA next financial year before the new visa kicks in? Is it worth spending time and efforts in EUI? Okay. So look, basically the government have not mentioned about how they are going to frame this national innovation visa. So there is a possibility that they may say that the process is still the same applying for EUI, just that they might have a probably set criteria that what you should have to get selected. You know, as of now, the program is very case by case. They assess very case by case basis. No criteria. No one knows how they are going to select. Exactly. I mean, there is no criteria which is like black and white criteria that if you have 7 bands in all or 8 bands in all, you will be selected for sure. Just an example. So that's why it is tricky. But coming to your question, whether to give efforts in applying for GTI, if you're applying for it, it's probably you're not spending any money as such. It's just that the time, probably that is what you're investing. But if in case the government is going to say that they're going to carry forward the UI process, then it might help you. One thing. Secondly, about the places, most likely it is like the government, they are saying the places they have for granting the visas. Most likely those people have already applied for the visa, so they already have application in the pipeline, so they are going to finalize the applications. If you apply for EUI, basically I don't have a definite answer as such, but I recommend applying for it, because in case if they are going to keep the same process, just having a definite set parameters for them selecting people, so that might make it easy for you to understand whether you qualify or not. But as of now, I strongly recommend to apply for EUI. It's just a matter of time that you are going to invest. I know time has a value, but just still better to apply. Nguyen is asking for PY program in IT. Is that 1 year count for work experience in South Australia as well? Is that 1 year count for working? Oh, yes. So if you do PY, you get 5 points through it. If you work for 1 year, you get extra 5 points. You can get a skill assessment through PY, through your experience, or through both. So it doesn't matter. So it will help you. South Australian state government, they says if you have been living for 1 year in their state and working for 6 months in the same field, you are eligible for state sponsorship. So that benefit also you will have. Kamal is asking, this is my second question. Can you please guide me on 189, 190 independent visa? As I mentioned above, I have 4 years of software engineer experience in Big Four firm offshore. 189, 190 you can apply. They don't look at how big, for what kind of company you worked for. So how big it is, it doesn't matter. Basically, they just look at your experience, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 3, 4, 5, whatever the years of experience. That's what they look at. They don't look at how much you're earning, what skills you have, other than like in that 4 years, what kind of work you have done, what technologies you know. They don't look at anything like that. So basically, it's all about the points. It's about how many years of experience you have, your English skills, and your partner's English skills. Based on that, they select people. Those things you have to work on. 189, it's all points driven. Cutoff is generally higher. If they give priority, they give invitation separately to offshore people and separately to onshore people, then you might have some chances if you score somewhere around 80, 85 points. For 190 visa, basically you need good years of experience. We have seen invites for people having 5 years or more years of experience. In past, having 8 bands in all, in like superior English. So those people were invited. So I think you should work on those 2 things if you haven't, plus your partner skills. If you have that, then good possibility. And for offshore people, we also recommend that better to apply even for 491. Ju is asking, what are the fund requirements for 190, 491 in New South Wales, Victoria, ACT? They don't look at funds. So New South Wales, no funds requirement. Victoria, no funds requirement. Canberra, no funds requirement. I think you just have to provide declaration that you have sufficient finance, but basically no requirement as such. Tapan is asking, is the job ready program and skill assessment? So it also depends on whether you're onshore or offshore, Jui. For New South Wales, Victoria, they don't ask. Certainly for Canberra, I think if you're offshore applicant, then they're asking to prove that you have sufficient funds. Tapan is asking, is the job ready program and skill assessment state specific? Yeah, we already covered this. Puneet is asking, hi, can you please answer my query? I asked earlier. Thanks. Puneet, I must have answered because I'm going in chronological order. Earl, I have already answered. Balbir is asking, I'm painting trades worker 65 points, 70, 65, 70, and 10 points for 180 and 190. Okay. For 91 respectively. Okay. I have ongoing employment and have been working in South Australia for over 2 years. My visa expiring early December. What are my chances? If you could have applied for 189 a bit earlier, there was an invitation round happened, I think 2-3 weeks back, where they have invited people with even 65, but now that is missed. You can't do anything with that. But South Australia, yes, you have a good possibility because now I don't think there are so many people waiting in the pipeline, you know. So if you apply, very good possibility of getting an invite. You should also apply for 189 if you haven't applied for it, you know. If you need assistance with that program, let us know. We can help you with that. But you have very good chances. If nothing works, you may ask your employer to sponsor you. That option is still there. And if you don't have that option, if you are willing to study, then probably you may look at studying as of now, so that at least you have a backup if your employer is not sponsoring you. So that option you may still consider. Ocampo is asking, thank you. Sorry, just appreciating. Thank you. Shraddha is asking, I am on a student visa but applied for deferral of the course for 5 months due to some compelling reasons, but I am working full-time during this deferral period due to unavailable and too difficult financial situation. Is it allowed to work full-time while I am deferred period, or does working full-time will affect my pending 491 application grant? Look, it's not going to affect your 491 application basically, but generally speaking, the government says that if you're deferring your course, you should go back to your home country. However, the other thing is also that if you are deferring your course is out of session, and if your course is out of session, you are allowed to work full time. So basically, as of now, you can say it is fine. So it is fine in a way, it is not fine in a way, because you are here in Australia, it is not fine that way. You should be going offshore when you are not studying. But basically for 491, you don't have to meet any condition that your previous visa conditions you have met, then only they will grant you 491, not like that. So 491 will still be granted, but in case if government would like to come back and cancel your visa, they may be able to do so. I think the possibility of happening that is too less, so should be fine. Hardik is asking, I am in South Australia, did Masters of Business Analytics. What will be possible options to apply for Western Australia? You can apply for Western Australia. It's just that you'll have to target high points because they just focus on the points. So points is the thing. It's points is the king. South Australia, if you have a job in the same field, then I recommend better to stay in South Australia rather than moving to Western Australia. You'll have lesser competition in South Australia if you have a job. If you have a job in Western Australia, you may move there, but again, it's a points game. So you'll have to focus on the points. Arisin is asking, what if salary bank statement of account cannot be provided to lodge visa application? What other documents can one provide to replace salary account bank statement? You can provide pay slips, you can provide tax documents, you can provide super statements. If you been to some country where you require visa, like work visa you are on, you can provide that work visa copy, for an example. You can provide letter from your employer saying that you were paid into your account, or if you are not paid in account, paid in cash, this was your salary. You have increment letters, contract offer letters. You can provide your self-declaration explaining why you cannot provide that. You know, sometimes it's possible that some people come to us saying that my bank account got closed because now I came to Australia, or things like that. So that happens, you know, so that's fine. So then government is going to verify your employment claims through their own means. Puneet is asking, also my sister is citizen in regional Victoria, if that will help in any way. It will help. You can apply for EOI for 491 family sponsorship, but we have seen that accountants are not invited so easily under 491 family sponsorship. You are free to apply for sure. You never know, if government starts selecting people under 491 family category, you may be invited. But since last 2-3 years, we most likely, at least 2 years, I know that they have not invited any people under 491 family category under accounting occupation. It's actually more than 2 years, but you can certainly apply. You never know, as you might have seen government, they are inviting people randomly in a way that sometimes you think there is no possibility. Like trade people, they were not hoping that they will be invited and they got invited, for 189 round in 189 invitation round for 189 visa. So basically, it's for sure recommended to apply for it. Whether you will be invited or not, that's not guaranteed. So you should not keep hope on it, but you can certainly apply. Australia is asking, hi, my brother currently working as a carpenter, 1 year experience. Can he apply for 482 visa? Not now. Hopefully at the end of this year, November, if the government is reducing the criteria to 1 year, you can apply. For now, the requirement is 2 years of experience. He may apply for still 407 visa, which is called a training visa. So if he does not have longer visa, he may go for a 407 training visa with 1 year experience. Complete 1 more year experience on that, and then you can apply for 482, or you wait until November on this 407 visa. Once you clock in, and if the government change the requirement to 1 year experience, you can then apply for 482 visa. Varun, can you please repeat the solution for someone in bachelor's in IT at New South Wales and do not want to go for professional year program? Any other direct and fast pathway for PR after completing bachelor's or after completing bachelor's or before completing bachelor's? Okay. Look, without a bachelor's degree, if you don't have any other qualification, not any experience which can get you a skill assessment, then you don't have a choice. You have to finish your bachelor's. If you are saying, I don't want to do professional year program, it is mandatory that you have to work for 1 year in the relevant field after you complete your qualification. Or if you're saying I have experience before qualification or during qualification, then you need 2 years of experience. So during or before qualification, if you have experience in IT, 2 years is required. After bachelor's degree, you need 1 year experience. That is one way. You get a skill assessment, then you look at a state sponsorship. The second option is, if you're saying I would like to study something else, which is easier to get PR because much more higher shortage, lesser supply, something like this, like a lot of people do teaching and things like that, that could be a good option for you. Because if you do 1 year course called Graduate Diploma for Early Childhood, you get a skill assessment after you finish that degree. You don't need any experience to qualify, and so much high shortage for early childhood teachers and less in supply. So very easy to get PR. Generally, you need English to get a skill assessment in teaching. But if you have studied 4 years in Australia, so that is 3 years bachelor's degree, you are saying you are finishing probably in whatever time, plus 1 year graduate diploma in early childhood. If you study 4 years, you get exemption and you can get PR. So that could be one option. If you are saying I don't want to spend money on PY and I'm not getting job in IT, so this could be an alternative way. Instead of spending money on PY, you may probably consider that money for studying this course. So that could be the option I can recommend. Hansan is asking, does the internship experience we get also count if we do business analyst part-time job internship as part-time course? So that's considered as long as it is paid, minimum 20 hours per week as per the market rate. One thing. Secondly, if you are saying that I have work experience as part of the course, then usually it's not considered unless you have a qualification back home as well. For an example, you did bachelor's degree in IT, you may be able to claim points. In some cases, experience gained during qualification can be considered, but basically you will need some experience back home or you will need qualification back home, something like this. But again, you can contact us and then we can explain. Umar is asking, I have a question that if I am submitting UI for one UI for both 194 and I need advice, it you should submit separate UI. We discussed about this. Amy is asking, can we get transcript of this video download? Yes. Transcript most likely, I don't think so, but still we'll get it checked. If it is possible, then hopefully in this chat box, I think they will be sharing later on, I guess. But if not, we are going to publish this video after tomorrow. So hopefully it will be available on Saturday or probably next week. So there might be some softwares I think available. So you can create a transcript from there, I guess. Zara is asking, I'm 476 visa holder. 12 months is still on my visa. Okay, but okay. And then I'm first in visa holder, 12 months is still on my visa. Just one more question. What option should I select for states? Whether I select any state option or specific state for 491 as electrical engineer, 75 points. Okay. Look, basically, if you're in Australia, you cannot qualify for all the states. All the states nowadays, they have a criteria that you must be in that state. You might have some state, they says you have to stay there for 6 months. Some state asks you to stay there for 3 months or 1 year, or they may ask you to study there, work there, things like that. So basically, as of now, the least requirement is from Victoria state government, and Western Australian state government. They don't want people to be living there for a long period of time. If you move today to that state, then you can still qualify. Western Australia state sponsorship you can apply even though you are living in any other state, but they give priority to people who are living in Western Australia. So any other state, if you are living in, for example, you are living in South Australia, you cannot apply to other states other than Western Australia. And even if you apply to Western Australia, I think your chances will be too less because there are so many people living in their state and still not getting invited. So your turn will never come. About selecting any state, you can certainly select any state. For example, if you're staying in South Australia, if you're selecting any state, if that state is accepting that if you select any state, it is fine. But some state governments, they say if you select any, they may not consider your application. For example, to what I understand, it's Queensland. They don't give you priority to what I remember. New South Wales, they says that it must be specifically for New South Wales, something like this. So it depends on the state though. So we don't recommend if you're living in particular state, then better you apply for that particular state. And you may submit a separate EUI for Western Australia if your occupation is on Western Australia's list. Earl is asking, what's the site again? Okay, so the site, you can just search for labor agreement home affairs, something like this. And then on that website, if you scroll down, you will get a list of all the employers which are already approved under this program. Or you can filter out there from that list of options. You can select aged care agreement, so you will get to know about those things. Balbir, when would South Australia be opening their ROI process for 2024-25? Honestly, I don't know. Basically, what happens, all the state governments wait for immigration to give them a quota, how many people they can sponsor, depending on the quota. Then after they are going to publish their criteria. If the state governments have already received the quota, then probably they may start from 1st July itself, because by that time they will define the program. Most likely, the requirements will be very similar to the last year because the government have given, as per the budget which they have announced, they have given very similar. So the immigration have been, the government have decided how many places will be there for 190 and 491 state nomination, but they have given the total seats, not individual seats, that for which state what seats will be offered, but the total seats are more than the last financial year, around 3,000 or 5,000 seats more than the last financial altogether. So most likely the states are going to get the same seats or probably 500,000 more numbers as such. So most likely they will have the similar criteria based on that, I'm saying. But then when they are going to publish it, if they already got the seats, then probably they will announce it soon. If they haven't got the seats yet, then probably it might be taking time. Or if they have got indication from immigration that they are going to change the point system, if in case, then they might wait until the new point system is out and then they are going to frame the requirements. Earl is asking how to join. So yeah, my colleague already answered. Balbir is asking, can I apply for training visa even after completing my job ready program in painting trade workers? Yes, of course you can apply. It's not like you learned all the skills while you have done job ready program. For any occupation, even after having 5 years of experience, you still need training, So basically training visa, anyone can apply. Reese is asking, any expected changes to New Zealand PR stream this July? Haven't heard anything like that, so hopefully no. Will be very similar. Government is not focusing on that for now, so it's all good. Swati is asking, I am doing diploma of nursing in Victoria. My partner is with me and he has limited working rights, but he is having 4 years of experience in IT field. Is there any option to apply for PR through his profile? Yes, of course. We have to still look at his qualification. Based on that, we can advise you further. If he has IT related qualification, major in IT, then it is fine. If he has degree which is minor in IT, he might still be able to get a skill assessment. If his degree is not in IT, then it's not possible to get a skill assessment for now if you don't have 5 or 6 years of experience, what I remember. But you can certainly contact us and then we can assess your profile and we can advise you further. Tapan is asking, what are the base states to apply for automotive? Okay. Automotive, I think regional Victoria, that is where you can target. South Australia, you can target. Western Australia, 491, they were inviting initially, but later on they focused more on the other health, teaching, and then infrastructure occupation. So they stopped inviting people, to what I remember. Apart from that, Tasmania, for sure, if you get a job there, I strongly recommend you to go there. Northern Territory also, if you get a job, high chances they will sponsor you after some time. Queensland, you are eligible at least, you can go, but it's then points driven thing. So points could be a concern. New South Wales, if you have a job in the relevant field in regional New South Wales, high chances that you will get a sponsorship. Basically, 491 is comparatively easy to get. 190 could be tricky wherever you go. Other than Tasmania and Northern Territory, if you go there, work there in the same field, high chances that you get 190. Tasmania asks for just 6 months job. Northern Territory asks for 2 years job in the same field. So that's why it is a bit tricky. You can try negotiating with them. Negotiating means you can still try applying for the state nomination. We have seen sometimes, even if you don't meet the criteria, they have been approving the state nominations. You can give it a try. 𝐸𝐴MPO is asking, hi, regarding 482 186, what if the company has not sponsored anyone in the past but is willing to sponsor me? Is that possible? For sure, it's possible. It's not possible that every company have sponsored one person in past. They have to start from somewhere, right? So it's totally possible. Is that related to labor agreement or not? Nothing to do with labor agreement. If they are going to sponsor you under normal occupation where labor agreement is not required, it is totally fine. If they are going to sponsor you under certain occupation which is not on the normal occupation list, or they would like to ask for some concessions, for example, English concession, experience concession, age concession, things like that, then you have to go into labor agreement, or the occupation concession, then you have to go for the labor agreement. Otherwise, you don't have to. Tapan is asking, can I apply for 189 in automotive? Yeah, sure, you can. The cutoff might be higher initially, but then you can certainly apply. Probably in this coming year, you never know, government may start inviting motor mechanics also so easily. So better to apply if you are eligible, at least having 65 points. Balbir is asking, how soon can I apply for 186 direct entry after completing my 3 years experience post-study? How soon? As long as you have completed 3 years of experience, you are certainly eligible to apply. So basically, your employer, as long as they are lodging nomination application, you can apply for the visa. Nomination application could be applied before you complete 3 years of experience, so that is fine. As long as you complete 3 years, then quickly you can apply for visa if nomination is already lodged. That's end of the questions. Anyway, I have taken longer than the session time, so thank you for being with us, being with me, and attending this session. We have one more day, that is tomorrow. We are still going to cover some more topics. We still have similar Ask Aussizz session at the end of the day to what I remember. Please recommend other friends and relatives as well to join the sessions if it's that those topics are relevant to you. All the topics I think the links have been already shared over here. If not, you can easily search Aussizz Group Conclave and you will get a list of all the events, all the topics we are going to cover tomorrow. Thank you for your time, and we'll hope to speak to you soon. Thank you. Have a good evening.